things are happening, how things are happening, how things are changing, right? And AI has come into the picture. That is another thing. And the most important thing that you have seen is a lot of people are kind of, you can see like mostly the agile coaches and scrum masters, they're kind of struggling. And the new words that is coming in the market that is called product operating model. So there's a combination of things. But the most important thing is we need to understand that at the end of the day, we have to deliver a product. And often we have been hearing about one thing, 10x developers, right? So if you do the development, and that's exactly what people think in Silicon Valley and many other places, that if you have an excellent developers and they can code with a very high quality and they do this and that, and you have an awesome product, this is going to sell. Unfortunately, that's not the reality. And I can tell you a lot of products that was created that did not succeed, even by Google and all those big companies. And the reason it doesn't succeed, any of those products that didn't succeed, I'm talking about those, is because product is not just the function of 10x dev, means have the best of the devs and create your product, and the product is going to sell. It's a function of how you understand the business, how you understand the market, and how you integrate yourself with the market. So yes, if you have a 10x developers, it's going to help, but that's not something that is going to go and uh, make your product successful. So if you really want to make your product successful, you need to have that 10x PM mindset. So what is that 10x PM I'm going to talk about today in the webinar? And this is not about being a product owner, like in the Scrum Guide, they talk about if you do certain things, uh, like you can write those features. Let me share my deck, then I'll talk about what I'm talking about. Lot of places have their own interpretation of 10x PM as if like if you can take feature out of feature, you create a feature factory, or just you're having a lot of features that you're churning every week, every month, then definitely you're a great PM. It's not that. You can take out millions of features and still your product is not going to be successful. So what is that? So let me share my deck and then I'll tell you what is that. When we talk about a product, just a moment, share. Do you see my deck, right?
Yeah, we can see that.
Perfect. Thank you. So what is that? So first of all, most of the definitions that if you go to Google, Internet, everywhere, and they're going to talk about if you're a 10x PM, then somebody who removes roadblocks, impediments, ensures faster delivery of features, very typical. And even in the companies, especially large enterprises, you're measured as of how many features you have delivered successfully. And even they say, like, if you go beyond the requirement and streamline, create some processes and ensure streamline execution, then reduce dependencies, bridges gaps between teams, like all those dependency management in your planning, quarterly planning. And uh, essentially, if you go and look at all those functions, uh, no matter how fast you can deliver and how many features you deliver, this still, I mean, it's a good thing that you're delivering faster, but it's not going to make a 10x PM. You're not a great PM, in my opinion. And it's not just my opinion, that's the reality, unfortunately, because I've seen the places like the greatest of the PMs, they're not only into delivering of the features. And again, don't get me wrong, delivery of feature is important, but just delivery and just increasing the speed. For example, if you're going in the wrong direction and if you go with 10x speed, you know what is going to happen. You'll go in the wrong direction even faster. So that's not the idea. all the things that I've mentioned here, you have to do it. And if you do it, it's good. But definitely, it's not going to go and make you a 10x PM. You will be a good PM. You will be appreciated. You will get your bonus. Maybe you'll get a promotion, maybe. But it's not going to make your company, your department, your group, your product successful. So, what is that thing that is so important in a product manager that that will make you really successful? And like it or not, these are the PMs, the product managers who make the company successful to a great extent. A lot of these companies that way of work is still very engineering centric. Like somehow get the requirement. And if you go and look at the Scrum is also very delivery centric, very engineering centric, you can say. Just go and implement a Scrum in some teams because it was created by engineers. I don't know if you guys know that. The 10 people who created Scrum were all engineers. None of them were from the business side or the product side. So they created a framework which is going to make their life easier. But if you just make your life easier on the engineering and delivery side, it's not going to create a great product. So for creating a great product, their help is absolutely needed, but you need more than that. And that's what we're going to go and talk about. So when you think of 10x PM, the most important thing is just ask your question. And again, say you're working for a big companies like Citi, JP Morgan, and for that matter, any of those, Facebook, Microsoft, Google, all those huge companies, you are going to say like, hey, I am not going to go and create a product that is going to make my company 10x better. Yes, you're right. But this is not about creating a product because no matter what you do, there is no guarantee that your product will become successful. However, you can ensure one thing, that you can work with 10x mindset. And if you work with that mindset, the chances are that your product is going to be more successful than others. And you will become, definitely, you will be marching towards becoming a 10x PM. So that's why my very first line is very important here. The 10x PM, they do not just work faster. They think about certain things. And what is that? For example, to achieve that 10x growth, you really need that combination of rationality, that how you can become rational, how you can become scientific, and how you can use a collective approach. If you can combine these three, then there are very good chance that you will become a 10x PM. And now you're going to ask like, hey, at the end of the day, is it not that I'm going to go and again start writing Apex features, stories, and doing some analysis? Yes, you will do that, but you will do it with a very different mindset. For example, a lot of time when we go and when we most of the enterprises, I've written one article on that in the LinkedIn. They work like a project manager, not a true product manager. And the reason I said it is not in a derogatory term, but basically what I'm saying is they mostly tend to go and implement something as if they implement certain requirements, that's going to be a success for the company, the success for the group, or the success of the product. That's not a thinking of a 10x PM. 10x PM think very differently. The first thing they're going to think is like, well, am I going to succeed? I give an example. I used to work for a company and they said like, we have the number of fraud has increased significantly. Okay, so what should we do? How can we reduce it? Then the top leadership, they came up with the solution. They said like, hey, there is a application available in the market, and that is AI based. And if you use that application, your fraud is definitely going to be reduced, can be brought down from 10% to like 3 to 5% or something. And straight away, the top management said like, yes, go do it. Now, what a 10x PM is going to do here in this case? Should they go and just implement it? That's not the right answer. So they need to become a little more rational here, a little more scientific in approach. So the first thing that team did was understand completely, like, what is the problem? So they started discovering, like, is it the real problem? Like, the fraud is increasing? Then they realized, yes. Okay. So they further broke it down. Like, there are multiple ways of doing fraud, right? Like a straw purchase, impersonification, and so many ways of doing it. So what happened actually? Why there was an increase in the instances of fraud? Is it something, some offer, something that we are offering that people are not able to access, or people still want to access and we don't include them? What are the reasons? So that 10x PM did not just follow through the diktat. Before even attacking that application and evaluating that application, that AI-based external tool, and as if like this is going to solve all the problems, that person was basically looking into the real problem. And finally, that he figured out, since it's a real life story, so I'm not going to give you a lot of details, but they figured out, like, of the 15 different ways that the fraud has increased from 3% to 15%, these 15 different ways show very different patterns. And now they started evaluating tool, and they brought that vendor and start asking those questions in the light of those 15 different kind of problems. And they figured it out, like, the tool is only going to help in three. And even if they help in three categories, the maximum gain that the company was looking for could be like 2 to 3%, not 10% or 12%. So before they start evaluating the tool, they presented the whole data after doing a thorough research. And this was not just research based on the quantitative data, it was both qualitative and quantitative data. And that's how they presented it to the management. Management was still insistent on talking to the vendor. So they talked to the vendor and they got further data, and they realized, like, given the governance and the data and other things, again, this is not a rational approach that you go and give all your data to a third party. And once you give to even if you go temporarily to a third party, you're not going to get it back. So it will become a huge issue, legal and compliance issues on the other hand. So one PM had, instead of following what the top bosses are saying, that person did a thorough research and broke it down to the bare bones, like what are the areas where we are seeing increase, and then started targeting a specific solutions for each, whether it's an internal solution or an external. And that way, that person, that PM, was able to reduce it to close to 10% by following multiple approach. So that is called very rational and scientific approach, and creative, you can say. So when I'm talking about scientific means set a hypothesis. Like, if I do this, then definitely this is going to go and make an impact. And in order to set that hypothesis, you need to go and do some research. And after you do the research, you will realize, and what I mean by research is getting data, both qualitative and quantitative. And then you're going to go and provide an hypothesis. Like, yes, if I do this, if I focus on, in this example, impersonification, and if I use this tool or do these certain things internally in the company, then I can see the reduction from 5% to 2%. And then you go and try it out, you do some experimentation. And once you start seeing the results, then you go and implement it. This is called scientific approach. And a lot of those people are least worried about taking that feature out as quickly as possible. They're really worried about, and especially in this case, that PM was worried about making a real impact. And that is the real impact, which I'm saying is called 10x PM or 10x mindset. Because the person was not just interested in creating epics and features and stories and all. The person was interested in really solving the problem, bringing down that fraud or whatever that was from 15% to 3% or 5%, whatever the target they had set. So the key thing here is you understand the business need very deeply, what business understand. And when I'm talking about the business need is here, it was a pure business need that business wanted to reduce, but business was not able to spell it out clearly. So that person did I don't know if you heard of a word called, uh, breaking down the problem into the fundamental problems, the fundamental. And after that, from there, building it back up. And that's exactly what this guy did. Broke it down to the fundamental levels. And that's why he wanted to conduct some research, validate a strategy. So you were surprised, like, why he was doing so much of work, didn't take too much of time. Actually, the whole thing happened in like 4 to 5 weeks. Of course, it was intense. And the key thing why he was able to achieve this, because he was not working in silo alone. He was working as a group, as a team, and this collective discovery team, where they have engineers, we have the product specialists, we have all those people from different stakeholders. They all came and they started working together in finding a solution. So when 10 people meet and they started working together, somebody in the company is easily going to say like, oh my God, there's a loss of productivity, that very inefficient. Yes, it may look very inefficient, but actually that is highly effective because they're solving a problem. They're not just delivering your features, right? So that way they were actually able to go and reduce it. So that was the crux of the story. If you do not work collaboratively and if you work in silo, it's not going to make a 10x PM because no matter how great you are, you could be the sharpest person in the world, but you will not have all the information. Plus, you do not have to work alone. And even if you work alone, you're not going to go and implement everything yourself. You will ultimately need the help of a lot of the people. So all the core people that you're going to work with, they are the people who is going to be a steward. They are the people you're going to work with and bring their level to the top. I'll give another example, another product that we're launching. And you'll see even in your companies where you work. So what happens is when you're creating a product, there is always, especially as a big product in a big company, there are a lot of handoffs happening. And what happens in every handoff, you start losing information. Some uh, some rule says it's like 15% information you lose. So if you keep losing information throughout, at the end of the day, it will be 50% or less than what you started with. Then you can imagine what kind of product that will be, or what kind of PM that person is going to be, right? Because you started losing lots of your insights, your business needs, your customer needs, and all those things. It's going to be misinterpreted. And what you end up delivering is like not exactly what you wanted. It's not going to move your OKRs. It is not going to go and show you the real results. And that's the reason it's having that 10x mindset. The 10x PM mindset is super important because the 10x PM is not worried about how fast it's going to get delivered, when it's going to get delivered. Of course, all those things are important, but they're very much focused about my real intent should not be lost in translation anywhere, whether it's a small company, a startup of 10 people, or it's a company of 100,000 people. Because ultimately, you're going to go and work with a small team anyway, even in the large corporations, like 50, 100, 200 people, right? So whatever you want to deliver should not get lost. And the way to do that is you don't just do discovery, you stick to your principles even in the delivery. Like so for example, there are a lot of models and tools that this person I was given an example they used so that when they are actually dealing with the real delivery teams, because everybody cannot be in your discovery, then use the tools to bring them at par with them. If the development team is at par with you, well, creating the software or delivering the software, then the chances are that your real intent, which is making the impact, will get translated. And again, that's where you have to help them. Like, how are you going to go and test it out? How will you test the riskiest assumption? How will you create a proper testing strategy? And if you're not working to create those testing strategy, a lot of people say, like, is it testing a job of a PM? Yes, absolutely. Is their primary responsibility. And that's exactly where they translate their intent. And before even they could translate the intent, they first have to understand the intent. And when I'm talking about the intent, both understand the business deeply and customer deeply. Another example I keep giving in terms of intent. And again, I'm focusing a lot of intent because that's going to make you a 10x PM. Like when I was Starbucks, uh, we were asking like, why do people buy a coffee and who are our competitors? And people said, well, our competitors are Tully's Coffee, Zeitgeist, and there are many other coffee shops. So one of those top leaders said, like, no, that's not true. Our competitors are not just a coffee shop, but also Apple, bananas, chocolate bar, and all those things. And we were surprised, like, why we are saying that Apple is a competitor of coffee. Then he gave an example. Say you're traveling from home to office, home to work, and you're driving. It's a 30-minute drive. And you can drive with one hand. You don't need two hands to drive all the time, right? And your one hand is empty and you need a company. If you grab banana, you can finish it off in 2 minutes, apple 2 minutes, chocolate bar 4 minutes. But if you grab a coffee, it'll give you a company for 20 minutes and you can still drive and drink coffee. So here, the real emotional need of the customer is coffee, not as a caffeine, but as a company. So it's giving you a company. That's the discovery. So a 10x PM will try to understand that aspect. Like the coffee is not needed because that person is hungry, or there is a caffeine need, or there is some breakfast that person needs to do in the morning. No, they are looking for a company, something that can give a longer company during that 20. So in that 30 minute, if you get a company for 20 minutes, there you go. The most of your journey will become pleasant, right? And that's the reason a lot of those coffee shops are set up in from certain distance to the office so that people can go and grab it and then either walk to the office or drive to the office. So these are the insights that a great PM is going to go and find out. And then it'll start making sense that why banana and apple are your competitors of a coffee and not just the coffee shops. So there's a very different perspective if you go and look at it. And now you will start, if you start attacking those needs of the customer, then you will get a very different kind of a success. You can take your company for that 10x growth. More and more people are going to buy your coffee versus going and relying on banana and chocolate bars. So that's the intent. And those intent has to be translated into your delivery. And if you cannot, then again, something is getting lost. So if you want to become a great PM, make sure that you understand the intent very well, you help with the delivery. And like I said, all those things I said, like great features, epic stories, I'm not against it. Absolutely, you have to do it. But that's not your primary area of focus. Your primary area of focus throughout is how you're going to create your features, stories, and that is going to help you meet the intent. What are the areas you're going to focus on? How are you going to create a testing strategy? And finally, once you go to production, you will have to make sure that you are actually collecting data in the production and validating that whatever hypothesis that you made, which you already tested to some extent during the development, but now once you put in the production, is it really meeting? And what kind of signals you're getting? And if you're not validating post-production and you think your job is only to put in the production, you're done, you can celebrate, again, you're not having that great 10x PM mindset. So how to collect those data, how to go and make a sense out of it is super, super important if you want to, because delivering is just the beginning, not the end of a journey of a 10x PM. So you delivered something and then you say like, you're done. No, not. You just started. You kind of just started. Now start connecting with the market and now started seeing how things are evolving and how you can make your product successful in the market, or you need to pivot. That is called scientific approach. That is called rational approach. And that's where you need creativity. And you can see I'm taking a PM straight to the production, no matter how big a company is. So if you think your company is taking too long, figure it out how you can make it shorter so that you can deliver quickly and you can go to the market very quickly. So that, like I said, your journey begins there. If you don't even reach there fast enough with the right thing, then what is happening is you're just delaying your experimentation in the market. And with the thing which I talked about, the intent that you need to go and validate, that is called product strategy. The thing that you set in the beginning, that I need to go and work on this product so that I can take my company or my group for a 10x growth. So I need to focus on this particular group. If I do this, that is your vision. So vision and a strategy is not something that to be written in the paper and set somewhere on the shelf. This is something that you actually go and translate in your real life. So without using those big words, in simple words, that's exactly what it means. And if you do that collectively, scientifically, and in a creative way, that's going to go and take you to become a great 10x PM. Key thing here, connecting the dots. You saw that how that person in the fraud, they started connecting the dots right from the beginning by breaking it down, understanding, using different models, getting data, interviewing people, collecting all kinds of data, then creating a hypothesis, which is your strategy, experimenting, again, leveraging all, keeping the minds open, then finally coming out with a solution one by one, multiple solutions, and then start seeing if it's really making an impact or not. Then finally having a dashboard to see and present, and throughout keeping their stakeholders and everybody engaged so that everybody understands the intent and nobody is deviating. We'll see in most of the companies, the moment it goes to the engineering team, the people forget about like what was the intent, everything becomes like doing a scrum successfully and delivering something every quarter, every 2 weeks or something like that. Those are important, but that's not the focus of a 10x PM. The focus of the 10x PM is to keep everybody glued, tied together to the real intent. So I already talked about without stopping for I don't know how many minutes, 10 minutes or 20 minutes, right?
For half an hour.
Oh my God. Sorry, I didn't realize that I can talk so much. But anyway, now's the time for questions.
Any questions people have around this so far? I think we can move it.
Okay. So these are the basic traits which, if you ask me, what are the traits that you can inculcate? Can you become a 10x PM? My answer is 100% guaranteed you can. What about if you're in a big corporations, very old thinking, old style thinking? Can you really make a difference? Can you move towards becoming a 10x PM there? 100%. If anybody telling you like, hey, this is a huge bank or a huge old kind of company, you cannot do that. They're just stopping themselves from achieving it. And it needs certain traits, which a lot of people don't have that. The first trait is you have to be humble. And this is the toughest, the hardest of all. That when you go to work on some product, and if you want to become a great 10x PM, the first thing that you need to have is be humble. Act as if you know nothing. Because if you can imbibe that characteristic, humility, that you know nothing and you need to learn, then the chances are you are actually going to go and learn it all. So it's all about learning. It's not about your past experiences. Because every product is new, every product is unique, every market is unique, every success is unique. And with the past experiences, you can only guess, but you cannot guarantee that you're going to succeed. So What will help you succeed is very quick learning. So this another point I've emphasized is always learn. So the key thing is this humility is tied to your learning. If you do not learn, then you're not humble. You'll assume that you know stuff. And the moment you assume that you know stuff, then you don't know you're right or wrong. And most likely you're going to be wrong. So it's very important. Another thing is go broad and deep, both. For example, when I'm talking about going broad is always start with some kind of a journey map. Understand the product, no matter how small the journey, the big the journey, but understand the journey. Understand the big picture. That's what people say, big picture. And what big picture is when a customer is buying a product, or even if it's an internal product, right? What is the journey? Where it starts, where is it touching customers, or even if it is being automated. So what is the journey? How it's being automated? What is the whole journey? If you don't understand the journey, the chances are you're guessing a lot of things. You're making assumptions. And the moment you're making assumptions, you're being not rational, not scientific. So, in order to become rational and scientific, you will have to start connecting those dots and trying to understand and remove as many assumptions as possible, especially the critical ones. And you will have to start testing your assumptions, especially the key assumptions, the most riskiest of assumptions. If you go to the production with your riskiest of the assumptions, what are the chances of success you can imagine? And that requires continuous learning, and that requires humility. I mean, challenging yourself. Well, I do not know what I do not know, what I know. I know for sure that the customer is not going to use it. I know for sure that the customer. So when you're sure, when you're not sure, obviously you're going to test. Even if when you're sure, challenge yourself, like how sure you are. Do you need to test it out? So it may look daunting, but unfortunately, this is something that is going to make you really successful. You are going to be most admired if you start thinking that way. And besides going broad and deep, another thing that you have to keep in mind is that shift left approach. Always keep outcome front in your mind. Like, do you really need to achieve some outcome? An outcome, when I talk about outcome, it's not just the general meaning of the outcome as of some impact. When I'm talking about the outcome, I'm talking about changing the customer behavior. Means when you're launching a product, is it going to change the way the customer works, thinks, does, appreciates, hates, likes, whatever it is? Is it going to go and make a change in customer behavior? And that change in customer behavior is an outcome for me. Even if you launch a product and the people just keep using it without changing any behavior, think people did not even notice your product. When the people notices your product or feature or whatever that is, they will either talk about it, like it, won't like it, they'll do something. So there has to be some movement. So that is a great PM, a 10x PM, always focuses and they know how to work in such a way that is going to go and measure the change in customer behavior. And that's what I call outcome oriented. Put it in another way, change in customer behavior oriented means, is my product actually making any difference in the market, or is not even going to be noticed? Another thing which is important, like I talked about right from the beginning, you have to be scientific, and scientific means being data driven. Get both data, qualitative and quantitative. Good example is when Amazon was launching this Amazon Prime, they had all kinds of data, both qualitative and quantitative, that yes, people want faster shipping. But just knowing this faster shipping is not enough. So they experimented a lot, like how they can actually go and meet the need of the customer by shipping faster. So when you talk about the customer service, when you talk about understanding the need, you will have to really sit with them and understand like what can you do so that you really solve their problem. So people were willing to give $100 extra for getting that faster shipping, something that is going to go and ship to them very quickly. And that's the kind of a beauty of doing those experimentation and understanding. If you do that, the chances of success is going to be very high. Otherwise, people have been asking like, who is going to pay extra $100 for just for shipping? And what they realized, it turned out to be a huge success. Similarly, there is another real estate site called Zillow. They started a new thing, estimating home. They call it Z estimate, estimating home like this is your home price. And like it or not, it connected with the people so well that everybody goes to the site just to see what is the estimate, what is the estimated price of their home. If it is in millions, that makes you happy, or whatever the price is. So that one small thing actually connected very nicely, that resonated with the people. So that's the thing which I'm talking about. Always talk to the market, stay connected with the market, try to connect with their emotions, their sentiments. And lot of future PM roles. And I've been reading recently about listening to a lot of podcasts, and they say, like, hey, AI can create PRD, AI can create this. Definitely, AI can create. AI is a tool. They can create with lots of insights and data that you can get. But AI is not going to make you a 10x PM. If you want to become a 10x PM, you will have to go and understand the real needs, unknowns, and a lot of unknowns, and take the help of AI, take the help of a lot of the things, all of the tools. And once you do it and you know how to do it, how to use those tools, how to do a good discovery, how to do all the things that a great PM does, that is going to make you a 10x PM. And that is going to make you successful and your company successful. Cool. So that's all for me. Questions? You guys are awfully quiet.
Uh, Mr. Ashok, I have one question. So my name is
Yeah.
Gopi. I'm from Chennai. So are there any research methods to understand customer needs, in a detailed way? Are
Yes.
there any frameworks?
Yes, the lot of them, a lot of canvas, the lot of different ways. But you keep in mind, this is not a process. For example, there is a good framework called JTBD. I don't know if you heard of that.
Jobs to
Jobs
be
to
done? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
So just filling that out is not good enough. You have to really understand how to use them.
mm-hmm,
So the entire product management is not about just pull any canvas or any model and do it. You'll
mm-hmm,
get some success or not. The, the most important thing is visualizing as a team, collective team. Like, what is the vision? Where are we going? And what are the tools and models that we can use? So that many of them, business model canvas, lean canvas, and other. So canvassing is just one part. But even before canvas, you need to do certain things. Like when we're creating a strategy, you have to validate. So what are the models that we'll use? How are you going to go and make sure that you really understand the customer needs? Even before that, you have to set your North Star or your OKRs. How are you going to set those OKRs? What are the areas you want to focus on? What kind of data from where you're going to get? So right from OKRs, I'm talking about the company level, top level, or the North Star metrics, to creating your product vision, to creating your strategy, to doing the discovery. And that's where you're going to use all these models, to connecting the dots. It's a journey in itself. And if you think you're just going to go and use whatever you use once, the second time and the third time, exactly same thing as a process, not going to help you much. You'll turn into a process and you will see like, well, I'm not getting my results. What should I do differently? And that's why you always have to be a tenterhooks. So short answer is yes, there are models that you can use to
mm-hmm.
understand that. And the most important thing which I recommend is spend 80% of your time outside, 20% time inside, if that makes sense. Means
Understood.
80%.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm. Any other question? Good question. Any other question? Feel free. I'm your friend. You can ask any question.
I have one more question. Sorry.
Sure.
How important is the knowledge of technology for PMs? Is it mandatory that every product manager should have, technical skills or?
So this word technical has been used and misused.
Mhm,
So a lot of people think like being technical means understanding um, understanding coding, right? So coding is just one part of technicality. I remember in one of one of the places I was talking to a bunch of developers in some seminar and all, and I was talking about the product development, and somebody says like he is very technical. He talked about me. I mean, those people I was presenting in one of those seminars. I mean, this is very technical. Then I was trying to understand what actually they mean by technical. So by technical, they meant the technicalities. Like if you understand the technicalities of whatever you're doing pretty well and deep, say you're doing just Scrum, but you understand the technicalities of a Scrum very well, then you're technical. Just because you code, you do not become technical. You know what I mean? Coding is just one part of it. So your question was, should they understand all these different coding languages like APIs, like cloud technologies, like, all the tons of things that you have? Absolutely, you should understand. But more than that, you need to understand like how you can go and I mean, especially when you're a PM, the technicalities of the whole product management. And once you start understanding the technicalities of the product management, these will automatically seep in. Means you don't have to go in and start coding, you don't have to go in and start, but you have to start thinking in terms of testing, that how testing a strategy works, how it starts at the top level and how it connects you to the unit test, right? So what are the different things? You don't even have to know the name of the test, but you have to understand like what are the things that you would like to get tested that you can understand. And once you start understanding those things, automatically you'll become technical. Technical, not in the sense of understanding the technology, but technical in terms of understanding. The good example is your famous Elon Musk. He started a car company and then started a spaceship. Do you think he's qualified enough to go and start any one of those? No, but he understands the technicalities of those because he understands how to break it down and how to then work with a specific people to go and get a solution. That's what I mean by technicalities. So if you're that technical that you can work with some people and make a sense out of it, that is enough.
Okay,
And
thank you.
and,
Thanks.
and you will realize that over the period of time, all these things have become so commoditized, these words
Mm,
like APIs and all those things, cloud, that is not known. Just knowing that what it is and what it does, it's not technical anymore. It's still a business. But yeah.
absolutely. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Ashok, hi. I have a couple of questions. Hope you can hear me well.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, Ashok, thank you so much to take a good amount of time on Saturday evening, I think, in India, and have a wonderful knowledge sharing session with us. My name is Srijit. So I have like a little bit of a hypothetical question, maybe not
Yeah.
really focused on this topic, but you talked much about the discovery and delivery, right?
Yes.
Typically, like the roles like agile coaches and scrum masters, we are more focused towards, as you said, like do things
Delivery.
faster, more
Mm-hmm.
towards this delivery side.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, being an agile coach, we work very closely with the product owners, also with the product managers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking down line in the horizon, how can you position yourself towards a product coach, or like if you want to expand your horizon and to be
Yes.
abreast
Yes.
in the market,
Yes.
because
Yes.
to be very honest, agile coaching thing is really fading in the country where I live. It's just like fading off.
Good question.
So
Good
I am
question.
sort
But
of
I understand, but before you complete your question, can you give me one reason why it's failing? One reason.
uh, you mean the agile coaching thing is
Yeah.
failing, or
Yeah. You just says failing. One reason why it's failing.
No, but when I didn't say it's failing, I said it's fading. The role is fading from the market because
Yeah.
people are
Why it's fading? Why it's fading? Is even a better question. Why it's fading? Just one reason.
because companies thinks agile coaches don't really make the real
Need
impact
it.
on like delivering
Exactly.
value, right? So
Exactly.
that's a
Yeah.
because there are good agile coaches who can really make an impact, like solve the real problem, work very
Yes.
closely with the customer. So
Yes.
there is no
Yes.
one answer why it's failing, because Sometimes
Yeah.
the companies don't even trust the agile coaches, or sometimes the agile coaches are just like kind of, like stick on the framework and do a lot of teaching and stuff like that. As I said, there is no one reason, there are many reasons, right? I mean,
Yes.
so
Yes.
so my question is, how can an agile coach position to, what are the opportunities for an agile coaches to position more towards a sort of like a product oriented role? Like,
Yeah.
is there anything like a product coach where you sort of like, you're not
Yes.
only like, projecting yourself as an agile coach, or what are the options that an agile coach can actually like, position towards a different role or something like that? So
So,
I just want to know from your
yep,
experience.
very good question, an excellent question. And actually, you answered your question as well by asking that question. And when I ask you a question like why it's fading or failing, whatever you call it, then you give an answer, and basically you answered your question.
Yeah.
So, why agile coaches and for that matter, scrum masters are failing is because they have become victim of the frameworks.
Yeah.
All they do is go and implement a framework and processes and all those things. That's not why they were hired. That's not why what was supposed to be their role. So their real role was to launch a good product, to create a great product. And when I'm talking about a great product is not a software. Product is solving somebody's problem that you just talked about.
Yeah.
Like, are you really solving the customer problem or need or not? So I don't know if you know, but recently I launched a course which is more about the product management. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm talking about and teaching there in that course is about how you can go and start solving the real problems. And not just agile coaches, even product managers who are with the title product managers in the company, they don't do that. They just go, just like agile coaches will go and implement a framework and create a feature and take it and ship it and say like, yay, my burn down chart looks good, my velocity chart looks good, this looks good. All meaningless. I'm not saying they are not important, you should not do it. Meaningless. It's not going to make you successful. It's not going to make your company successful. What is going to make your company successful, you successful, make you look valuable, and actually you are valuable if you do that, is understanding the real problem, the customer problem need, and taking your entire team to the journey from the beginning to the end, like how you're going to go and solve a problem in a company. So everything that you do in a company, you're actually solving a problem. It's just that you solve in a very poor way, and that's why they don't see your value. If you do solve the problem in a right way, they'll see the value, right? And that's what is going to make you a great product manager or a product coach. And that's what I call as a 10x. Like focus on the real problem, real intent, and do it. So if you want to transition from coach, I mean, that agile coach who's only focused on delivery, and meaningless delivery without understanding anything, to becoming a product manager, so put it that way, if you want to move them from project operating model where just get any requirement and just deliver, that to product operating model, which is thinking about a product, thinking about customer, and solving the real problem. If you're not able to understand the problem, don't even ask your developers to get engaged, right? So solve the real problem. The moment you started doing that shift, then you have become a product coach, or you have become a product manager, or you have become a real product person. If you're not doing it, so yes, so the answer is yes, you need to really understand what it takes to solve it. A lot of those people in the coaches who are successful, they actually solve the real problem for the company.
Yeah.
And like I said, the course which I'm doing, I think it's starting on the 8th of March. That's exactly what it is. Like, what are the steps that you can take? So, and again, one very important point. When I was doing that course last time, somebody asked me like, do you have to start from the scratch all the time? No, you don't. You start wherever you meet them. Meet them where they are. Say they have already done certain steps. You don't have to take them back. Start where you are, and then you take that person further into journey. That will make you a great product manager and coach. If all the time you're going to start from the beginning, not going to happen, because that will be a huge waste of resources for a lot of companies. They're not going to become super successful in that one particular product, but at least they'll learn that how to move in the direction of creating a good product. So you have to meet them where they are with whatever the thing they have. You don't have to wait for having a perfect setup. Like you go to the war with the army you have. You never wait like, hey, only when we have an excellent army and excellent equipment, excellent artillery and all those machineries, then only I'll go to war. Then forget it. You'll never win a war. You are going to the war with the army that you have. So you always meet them where you are. And that's the way you can transition yourself from agile to the product, either manager or coaching, by focusing on solving the real problems and just picking it up wherever they meet.
Okay,
Good question.
thank you. Thank you. And I have a follow-up question to that question. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally agreeing with whatever you say, right? I mean, I'm being mindful on like creating the impact and all these things which
Yeah.
you were saying just now. I'm totally 100% agreeing with you. Maybe I will reframe my questions in other way, right? I mean, in a very,
Yeah.
very layman example.
Sure.
I'm looking for a job. Assume I'm looking for a job and I'm an agile coach, and nobody is like having trust on agile coach, or no companies are hiring for agile coaches or scrum masters. So you mentioned about something like a product coach or like some of your trainings, right? So my question is more towards like, if an agile coach has sort of like experience in the product side, what sort of role he can probably project? Is there something like kind of like a product coach than a product manager? That was my question. I mean,
So
I don't want to be like a product manager because I didn't really work as a product manager before. But I have read somewhere that there is a role like a product coach which is evolving. Like, is there something that you heard of, or is there something that
yes,
exists? Or
yes,
I'm really
yeah.
interested in that line.
Yep. So the difference between a product coach and a product manager is ideally, I'm saying, is only when you have worked on multiple products and you have successfully created a great impact products, then you understand what it takes to create a great product, right? And then you
Yes.
can coach others, right? For example,
Yes.
if you have never played football or soccer, how can you coach somebody a soccer, right?
Yes.
Maybe you can. You have that strong visualization that without even playing, you can become a great coach. It's very much possible. But mostly, uh, which is called the rule of thumb says like at least you need to do some product. So if you want to transition from an agile coach to becoming a product coach, the first thing I would recommend is take some product role somewhere, somehow, right? And people will give you. Actually, if you ask me, even an agile coach, when we were there, you were supposed to go and help your product owners and product managers develop a good product. So if you have not
Absolutely.
helped them, right, means you have not learned. So practice what you preach. So you need to go and practice yourself like, hey, can I take a product and do the best way I thought that the product should have been launched this way? Can I do this? And then that's why you need to know all the fundamentals of the product management, product operating model, and all the things which I talked about, like how you can make it scientific, rational, creative, and all those things. And once you understand those and start experimenting in certain areas, and you manage to take at least one product out of door successfully, it'll give you tremendous confidence. And then you can try to replicate that in the second product and third product, and that automatically you realize you're moving towards becoming a coach where anybody is going to listen to you because they have figured it out. So if you really want to make a journey, a transition from your agile coach to product coach, I would recommend that at least if you have not done it, if you've already done it, it's good, then you can use that. But if you've not done it, create some great products as a product owner and or product manager. And no matter how small the product is, apply your principles, learn those principles. And then after doing 2 or 3, you'll get a pretty good hang, and then you'll transition yourself as a coach. Then people will trust you a lot more than just straight away transitioning. If you straight away transition, you know what is going to happen. Again, you're going to focus on the frameworks and other things, not in real problems. Did I answer your question? One more thing you asked about the product manager. Actually, there should be no difference between product owner and product manager. The reason there is a difference is there's a huge part of discovery which product owners don't do in most of the companies. They do discovery, but are mostly at the solution level, not at the problem level. So once they get a solution, then how to go and create it, how to break it down into features, epics, understand the dependencies, and understand like who needs to be impacted and how it should be prioritized. That's a secondary part of it. The primary part of it is solving the real problem, which I've been talking about. They don't focus it. And in a lot of companies, the task is given to the product managers. So what happens, it creates a two-pronged system. The product management is doing delivery and product owner is doing delivery. And they do it primarily because of the time constraint, like they only have so much of time in a day. But it creates that kind of a handoff situation. So I would rather prefer that product owner spends a part of their time in doing good discovery and do a small versus taking too many big items, too much of a scope and just doing delivery. So it's again, if one person does end-to-end is much better than two people doing 50-50, right? That's how I believe. That's how I think it works best. So they need to allocate your time accordingly. So actually, there is not much of a difference between a product manager role and a product owner role if you do all the right things. If you don't do all the right things and you're dividing between discovery and delivery, then you will have those concepts of product manager does discovery and product owner does delivery, which is not the right concept. It's a dysfunction. That's how I think, at least. Did I answer?
Thank you.
Yeah, one thing I just want to add it is that one of the problems which has been prevalent in the agile coaching area as well is like many times what happens is people try to just help in implementing the framework, whether it's Scrum or Kanban or whatever. But it may happen that while implementing that, you don't even understand what the product is all about, what exactly the product is trying to solve, what problems the users have. So that whole piece where you really need to understand what exactly this product is trying to do and why it is trying to do that goes missing, and then it's just basically focusing around implementing the framework or just creating so-called efficiencies in delivery. So that becomes a challenge. And as you mentioned that when you want to become a product coach, you need to learn how to think about the problem solving, and you need to first of all need to learn that discipline, like what exactly that means, how to make it happen, and then you can start working on a smaller piece of product actually.
Thank you, Srikanth. Yeah, I mean, totally agree with whatever all both of you said. I mean, I was just trying to look for more options and opinions that you said, right? As you said, I also worked as a product owner, a little bit of a product manager before, and I have done a lot of design thinking workshops where we get into this more kind of discovery patterns, right? I mean, that's where we sort of get in all this concept, like when you do a design thinking workshops with the whole stakeholders and the whole company management, we get into more sort of this journey mapping and all the stuff. Yeah, I'm just like trying to hear more views on what you guys think. And to be very honest, it's just like especially in the place, some areas, this agile coaching thing is really losing its charm, and more towards like Scrum Masters are taking more kind of a delivery ownership, like not only sticking to the Scrum books, rather than, as you said, like what's the pain point that the company faces, how can we make an impact, and this frameworks doesn't really matter as much. Like, are you really solving the problem? Are you really solving the right problem in the right time?
Yeah, you got it.
That matters. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Idris, you have something?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ashok. Thank you. So looking at the course of the training, what it takes to become a great product manager, And looking at the scope as well, are we going to have a walkthrough of the entire product life cycle, for instance, from discovery? And then we are going to build up a case where we can actually reduce tariff on our CVs and everything.
What is RCB?
No, our resume, sorry. Is this something, that you can actually build a case from
yes
end to end?
So that's a very good question. Like the course that I'm offering is, can you go and use that course to go and refashion your resume more towards a product manager or product owner? The answer is yes, absolutely yes. And that's the whole idea is you need to transition. You cannot just be like keep doing the same thing and not getting results.
Yeah.
So if you really want to transition, say today, even if you get a job, how are you going to succeed in job? So first you need to understand, right? Even for getting a job, you need to answer some questions right. If somebody asks like, hey, what you're going to do in this role and what you have done, then at least you should be able to relate. Like I have done this, and this, and that's made me successful. And why my approach was rational, creative, and scientific. If the whole idea behind this course is to walk you through step by step, like what I have done in my experiences is not something which is available anywhere in the Google or in your chat GPT or somewhere. This is the certain things that you do, and over and again, if you keep doing it, and like I said, it's not a process. Like if I tell you just do this, and this, and you're going to become a great product manager. What you have to understand is if somebody does it, what are the thought process going behind it? So in the real case study, in the real scenario, what happens is pick any product that you're delivering. And in this workshop, I'll make you actually, not workshop, in this training, actually going to go and make you think, like pick any product and try to become successful there. So when you do that exercise 50 times, you will get and hang yourself. So you cannot do that 50 times in the workshop, but at least you'll learn the art of doing it so that you keep repeating yourself. And once you keep repeating yourself, that art, then obviously you'll become a great. But definitely, yes, that's the whole idea. Like how all these different words are connected, how OKRs connected, how vision, strategy, and then the model which I have created for creating that great product which you're talking about, like practicality, like how you actually go from point A to point B or whatever the point is, so that you designed a product, you created a product at least in your mind, right? When I say your mind was not as software, but at least in conceptually, you have a good product. And then how you're going to go and translate that into a software, the whole journey end to end. If you don't do that, then obviously whatever you're understanding is very theoretical. You cannot apply.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.